Hi everyone, it's Lakeisha from LakeishaPoole.com, and this is Between the Lines. Welcome, y'all. I'm so excited about this episode. We are looking at the power of storytelling in a new way. When I first started Between the Lines, it was important to me that I showcase the critical role storytelling plays in so many facets of life. One thing that I've noticed is that people rarely consider the stories they tell themselves. That's right, we're not talking about books, news stories, or anything like that today. We're not looking at those external influences, but the internal stuff. We're talking about the narratives that each of us have built up over time. Narratives about our childhood, narratives about our career, our futures, our capabilities, talents, everything. The reason why it's important that we break this down is because some of us have been telling the same old sad stories for years, decades even. And that narrative has held you back. It's held you back from moving forward towards forgiveness, towards flourishing and thriving in life. It's held you back from taking a chance on you. You can only see yourself or even talk about yourself from the vantage point of a failure or mistake you made years ago. It's even twisted your perception of faith. So today I hope that as we go through the lines of the stories we tell ourselves, you will be inspired to write some new ones. You will feel empowered and bold enough to start a new chapter in your life. And I know it's possible because I have a very special guest that is going to walk us through some of the common barriers people face as they discover their purpose. Nicole Smith is a life and leadership coach at Smitn Coaching and Consulting. And y'all, I just love her. I could talk to her all day because her heart is pure and she is so giving in her expertise because she wants to see all of us win. Nicole is going to share with us her own path from being a super successful marketing executive to helping people like me and you get unstuck and on track to a better life. Are y'all ready? Let's go.
Well, hi, Nicole, and welcome to Between the Lines.
Hello, I'm happy to be here.
Oh, man, I just love your energy. I love your spirit, and I can't wait for my listeners to hear more about you and to hear about your journey and the work that you do because I feel like it is so beneficial to us all. And so I guess just to dive right into the conversation, tell me about your coaching journey. Like, how did you get into this?
Yeah, I'm happy to. And thank you for having me. I am so honored that you chose me to be a part of your podcast because I know how important this is to you and what you try to bring to your listeners. So I'm going to do my best to live up to the bar that you've already set. But about me. So I spent the better part of 20 years building a marketing career. So it was in entertainment, hospitality, and travel. And then I eventually got my MBA. And after my MBA, I transitioned to sports marketing. So by the end of it, I was a sports marketing executive. I was actually at a CMO level at a WNBA team. And that sounds amazing, right?
Wow,
But
that's huge.
I was miserable, Lakeisha. I was doing the work that I always wanted to do, but something was missing. So when I walked away from that job, I didn't go to another job right away. I took time to say, what makes you happy? What's missing from your life right now? And I was fortunate to be able to have that time for introspection because not a lot of people do. And I had to look back and say, okay, what have you been good at? What do you love? And I realized that I was quite a good strategist. So I was able to figure things out, figure out a path to get to what I want. And throughout my whole life, I had been a goal getter. Like there was nothing that I hadn't like set my sights on and went after it and got it. And there was satisfaction in that, but again, something was still missing. And then I also realized that it was important to me to empathize with others. That's a lot of what made me a good marketer. But I really loved elevating people and bringing joy to people. That was my true passion. If I could elevate somebody, give them an opportunity, put them in the position to win, that's when I felt actual joy. And I was like, I need more of that in my life. And so that led me, kicking and screaming, by the way, to coaching. And I say kicking and screaming because I had this vision of myself, of who I was. I was an executive. I was a businesswoman. I wasn't a coach, like, you know, or this vision I had of what coaching was, but I had to let that go. And I had to let go of the woman that I thought I was supposed to be and really step into the woman that I was becoming. And by doing that, I have like this amazing level of happiness and fulfillment. And I get to do work that I love. And I didn't have to abandon the things I liked about my previous life. I brought them along with me. So that's been my coaching. That's my journey into coaching, I guess you could say.
Wow. And you said so much there that I wish, I'm like, where do I start? Because I feel like one of the things that you said that really resonates with me is this idea that when you come at crossroads like that, you have to have a level of self-awareness. And so being able to differentiate between who you thought you were or where you thought you were going with what you truly enjoy doing. And so I guess, could you talk a little bit about that struggle? Like, how do you, the kicking and screaming, how do you, I guess, wrestle with that, that decision, you know, because you could have easily continued on as a CMO and probably could be like a CEO, whatever, like that ladder is always in the back of your head, like, oh, this is where I could be, even if you're unhappy. How did you let go of that?
Whew, how did I let go? It was not easy. Like, I probably still have fingernail marks on my my prior life, like clutching so hard. You know, I had to really get good with that I was my most important client, and that how I felt and how I woke up every day was more important than what other people thought of me. Because really, what that was about it was about status. I was worried, will people see me the same way? Who am I without this job? Who am I without this trajectory? Because for so long, especially when I transitioned into sports, I became known as the woman who wanted to do sports and then the woman that did. And I was getting called on for speaking engagements or what have you because I was that woman. So in my mind, I had started telling myself, not purposely, probably unconsciously, that this is why people wanted to talk to me. This is why I was valuable. This is why I was important, was because I was in this industry and I had this job and I was doing this thing. And I had to get to a point through a lot of work. And actually the coaching training helped, because when you're a coach, you don't only help other people, it really does help you too. But what I learned was what I always had known, but I really had to get it in my spirit, that what I do and who I am are not the same thing. And that I have intrinsic value that is not attached to any accomplishment or any accolades, and that exists no matter what. And surprise, surprise, there was lots of people who still wanted to talk to me. There were lots of people who still were like, you're amazing. Like, what are you doing? That's awesome. I was so scared to put it out there that, like, hey guys, I'm a coach now. And I was really nervous. And I had so many people behind the scenes being like, do it, do it. You know, that support is, I mean, I can't even tell you how valuable that is. But once I put it out there and people were like, oh, that makes sense. Oh, I totally get it.
Right.
Yes, girl. Let me know when you're taking signups. I was like, wait a minute. Like, I made this all up. And then also realizing that the people who didn't support it, well, that's okay too. Like, everybody doesn't have to support everything you do, and that's okay.
Right. That's so funny how everybody else was like, that makes sense. And you're over here analyzing, like, this is totally off the wall. Like, why would I do this? Will people find me credible? Like, you're asking all these questions. And so I do feel like that's something that happens when we, again, reach those intersections where we're like, okay, do I continue down this perfectly crafted path that society expects and society seems to celebrate, or do I take this little off-road journey doing something that's a bit unexpected? And so I think that also probably prepares you for the type of client work you do. So what are some of those obstacles that you find your clients face when they come to you?
Yeah, well, you said one thing that I love. You said perfectly crafted, because if that didn't hit me to a T, I was so perfectly crafted. Like, everything had a list, a checklist. I was hitting it. I was doing it, making it happen. a lot of my clients have the same thing. Everything has been so perfectly crafted. And when they can't see the perfect path forward, they get stuck, they get paralyzed. And I help them unravel that, get unstuck, and teach them and work with them to show them that they haven't been as perfect as they think, and it's worked out just fine. We set these crazy expectations for ourselves that we ourselves are getting in the way of our progress. And I think a couple other things that my clients generally have when they come to me, it's somebody who's working really hard and they're not seeing the results they want, whether that's a personal thing or a professional thing. Because sometimes you're a new leader and you're working hard and you know you worked hard to get there, you're a leader, but you're not seeing the results from your team. Or you've been in an organization and you're working your butt off, but you're not getting the promotions or the accolades that you think you deserve or that you want. Like, how do we get past that? What do we do about that? And then there's a lot of people who just want more out of life. I'm sure you've had this feeling, most people have, where things are great. It's not that you're ungrateful, right? You have all these amazing things, but there's something nagging at you every day that's like, there's something else I'm supposed to be doing. I'm meant for more. I know this isn't it for me, but you may not know what it is. So I help clients figure out their it.
Awesome. And so do you feel like everybody has an it?
Oh,
That's
absolutely.
a big question.
Yeah, no, that's not a big question. That's an easy one. Everybody has an it. Everybody has, and let me just say this. You may have more than one, and that's okay.
Right.
But I think it's really important for people to figure out where they find joy in life, because so many of us think that you work hard so that you can become successful, so that you could be happy later. But what if you don't get later? And also, and beyond that, nothing supports that other than that it's just been said a lot of times, mostly by people who benefit from that process.
Right.
Yeah, because the truth
they
is,
want to maintain that structure.
Exactly. So we like to buck the structure a little bit, but the truth of the matter is that if you choose happiness, you will be more productive, greater levels of success, and be happy the whole time, and at the end more successful than you ever thought. So I'm trying to evangelize that thinking because I think it's healthier. And I think a lot of women, particularly Black women and women of color, can benefit from hearing that side versus the work harder, work twice as hard, sacrifice, and one day you'll be happy.
Right. And I mean, we've been told that story so much that, I've come across women who they just feel guilty about even pursuing their purpose if it brings them pleasure. Because, in my coaching business, I coach writers and people who've always wanted to write books, and they really feel guilty about spending time doing that, even if it's something that could bring in additional income to the household. Like, they feel like because they get pleasure out of it or joy out of it, it's playtime and it's not real and it's not purposeful. And so have you come across that as far as the guilt that comes along with deciding to finally do something for you?
Absolutely. I mean, the guilt of just taking a break. I mean, how many times have one of us sat somewhere and we're doing nothing and our mind goes to, oh my gosh, there's so many things I should be doing right now. This isn't a great use of my time. No, but it is. Because investing in you and putting time back into you, bringing joy into your life, those are valuable endeavors. And the more that we can, and God bless you in the work that you do, because the more that we can show people and demonstrate, and one of my things is about being a living example of what's possible in life, and being a living example of you can invest in yourself, you can take care of yourself, you can prioritize your happiness. That's a radical idea, right? And still do all the things that you need to do. And a lot of times it's around family, like especially women with children or families. They're like, oh, well, I'm doing this for my family. And the research just doesn't support that. The research supports that if you're miserable, chances are your family's miserable too.
Right. And you're teaching your kids something about, like that is automatically a sacrifice, that love equals sacrifice. And so, and I understand there are sacrifices that come with having a family, that come with being in a relationship. But at the same time, I don't think that we're cognizant of how detrimental that is to our kids' futures when we, decide to not do things for ourselves, they then mimic that same behavior in adulthood. And so it's really a big deal. Like when we talk about self-care, it sounds all frou-frou and fluffy and like, oh, okay, yes, spa day. But no, it's real, and it has generational impact.
Yeah, and we talk about generational curses and legacies and all these things. Like legacy
Right.
is not just monetary. Legacy can be mindset and it can be mental. Like, are you providing the next generation, whether you have kids in your home or kids out in the community, are you providing them with what they need to be healthy, whole people?
Right.
And, you know, self-care is all levels of self-care. It's taking care of your mind, your body, your spirit. It's also taking care of your finances and your responsibilities, but, you know, not making one of those more important than the other, because they all work together.
Exactly. And I guess with your services, you're able to help people put all those pieces together. What is one thing that you wish they knew about the coaching process that, you know, I'm sure there are all kinds of misconceptions out there.
Yes.
I'm sure that there are a lot of people who are like, okay, if I come to her, she's just going to fix everything overnight.
Like that.
Right. And, you know, a lot of times coaching, counseling, all of these things, they're hard work. Like it's mental and it's emotional and it's, you know, physical. Like it really does have or require an investment of your time and of you. And so, yeah, I would love to hear about what you wish people knew.
What I wish people knew. So there's a few things I wish people knew. The first one is that you don't have to be in crisis or shambles to seek out coaching. Okay. Like
that is a good one.
That's the number one thing. Like everybody thinks like, you know, they go to life coach, they go to Iyanla Vanzant or something. And it's like, it's not, I don't need to fix your life. Like I come from a place, my coaching style is I come from a place of that you are already whole, you are not broken. There's nothing wrong with you. You just need some new tools, techniques, and strategies to get where you want to go. Okay. So that is very important. Your life does not have to be a mess. You could just need a thought partner. You just might need somebody to give you a different perspective so that you could see this problem differently. Listen, my first coach, I was doing really well. Like, you know, in life in general was fine, but I was in a job that was great, but I couldn't see what my next step was. Like I just couldn't see beyond where I was. It was the first time in my life that I didn't have a greater goal. And I was struggling.
Right.
So I reached out to her and she says, well, you know, I had worked with her in a different capacity before in kind of like career advisement. And she's like, well, I'm coaching now. And I didn't really fully grasp what that was, but I signed up because she helped me before. And I'm like, she can help me again. And through that process, man, let me tell you, like just her probing and asking questions and pushing me on my logic around things, or you know, the stories I was telling myself or what my belief system was, I grew in amazing ways. And I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now had it not been for that, intervention is what I'll call it. Although it wasn't like, you know, some big dramatic intervention, but right. But it was something that I really needed that I didn't even know I needed. And then I'll say one of the last things about coaching that people should know is that coaching is not therapy, right? So if you know, it doesn't diagnose any mental ailments or mental illnesses. We don't, you know, we don't like do anything medical or anything like that. As a coach, I don't dig into your past and try to find all your childhood trauma. We work from where we are with what we have and how we're going to move forward. And it's really just life skills and strategies for you to be your best.
Right. Yeah, that is a clear distinction because those are two different areas of need a lot of times. But I mean, I do feel like in coaching experiences I've had, you still can get a form of healing through those experiences as well. Like you said, just asking those questions that, you know, and it's so funny because they seem like they're right in front of your face. Like, why couldn't I see that? Why didn't I even think of that? And so just having that outsider, that third party perspective is so helpful. And you know, a coach is going to be objective because they don't know your whole past. They don't know, you know, all the other things that you've gone through. So they're not coming to the table expecting you to be a certain way. They see you for who you truly are.
Yeah, that's so good. And I would just add to that like coaches, or at least what I think good coaches do, is we don't judge, right? We have no judgment. We have no sense of what you shoulda, coulda, woulda done. All we know is where you want to go. We assess where you are and we help you get where you want to be. We're like a Sherpa or a guide. And I have to say, like, there's something very powerful and life changing to having someone who's going to listen to you, support you, and believe in you. And some of us just don't have that in our everyday lives. And it's not that people aren't supportive, it's just that they know us a certain way or they might have a certain outlook. But a coach is a very objective third party that helps you get where you want to go.
Exactly. And I mean, there was something that you mentioned earlier that I feel like it's something that coaches are really good at. You know, when you look at them providing that objectivity, that evidence of what the reality is and what the truth is, you know, when you were deciding to make that move in your career, you were like, I was telling all these stories about how it wouldn't work and how it couldn't work. And so having that coach helps you to see that more clearly. And so we talk a lot about storytelling on this podcast. And, you know, yes, there are fiction stories out there. Yes, we read autobiographies and things like that. But really, storytelling is something we do on a daily basis without realizing it. And the stories that we tell ourselves impact those decisions that we make, both big and small. And so I would love to just hear from you about what are some stories that you feel like people tell themselves all the time that really hold them back from making progress on their goals?
Oh, yes. I would love to talk about those stories. So, yes, I have. And let me just say, I have a huge appreciation for storytelling just because as a marketer, that's one of the things that you need to be good at. You need to be good at telling a story, bringing people into your story. But to your point, there are stories that we're telling ourselves that we probably should stop. So one of them is, one of the big stories we tell ourselves is that we need permission to be great, that you need somebody else to somehow deputize you or baptize you for you now to be this amazing person or thing. And that's just not true. You can decide your own greatness. The other story that people tell themselves is just not true is that success is relative to other people. And it's not. Your success is not relative, just like your worth is not relative. It's absolute. And you can define success for yourself. For example, my new definition of success is waking up excited and going to bed grateful. And if I can do that, then I had a successful day. And that didn't have anything to do with how much money I made, what title I had, who told me I was cute, none of that. So I can be successful on any given day. I think we talked about one later about happiness will come later. Let's not leave it till later. And that's not necessarily true. If you're not creating happiness today, what makes you think you're going to create it for 2 weeks from now? Right? And I'm not saying every day is going to be, you know, sunshine and rainbows. We're not going to be skipping down Main Street, but there's opportunities to create happiness every day. I was like, there's more and more, but this is one. Oh, this is a good one. That doing more gets you more.
Ooh, that is a huge one.
Listen.
The biggest fairy tale.
the biggest fairy tale ever told, right? Because we've been told, so work harder, like something's not working. Like how many of us, like think about this story you've told yourself. You're probably telling yourself right now, something's not working, but I can fix it if I work harder. Really? Like, is that really what you need to do? Like, do you need to work more to get more? And we're seeing more and more evidence every day that that's just not the case. But yet and still, we're in there. You know, I need to be at work at 7. I'm going to leave at 8. Like, I mean, 8 p.m. Not coming in at 7 a.m. and leaving at 8 a.m. But, you know, like you're going to be there a whole day.
Right.
And, you know, and then I'll get rewarded for that. Really? Are the people who get the promotions, are the people who move up, are they the people that are there all day, every day?
Right.
I know in my career, they weren't necessarily the people. So, yeah.
And I saw that happen a lot in the workplace between generations. And I feel like that is why there's so much friction between various generations in the workplace, because say the baby boomers, and I'm not trying to overgeneralize, but I remember the baby boomers were complaining about the millennials. They're like, what? They never want to stay late because, you know, they get paid overtime. I don't understand. And I was an older millennial. And so I felt like I was the liaison, and I would explain, I'm like, they don't care about the extra money. They want to go and spend time with their family. They want to hang out with their friends. And I remember when I was that intern, when I was staying late, I wasn't really doing much work and I wasn't very productive. I was just doing it for appearances because that's what I was told. Like, oh, hard workers stay late. And I don't think I got any special rewards for my late nights. And so I think that a lot of times, you know, various generations do have a perception of what leads to success. And so it's unfortunate that, you know, some people spend years in their lives toiling away, and like you said, waiting for later to have that abundant life. And so I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about when you look at that work hard, how that applies to our spiritual lives as well, because not only do I see that playing out in us trying to reach the upper echelon of success in our careers, but in our walk with Christ and how we're, I don't know, like we feel like, oh, if I just pray better, or if I, you know, do this and do that, and one day I'll have the type of relationship that I want. Like, so how do you see that playing out sometimes?
Ooh, that is an excellent, excellent question. And I think the one thing that's most important, at least for me, is just remembering that, first of all, the fact that you're even here is a blessing, right? So start there. God loved you enough, sowed into you before you were even a thing, for you to be here.
A thought.
So
you weren't even a thought.
You weren't even a thought, right? So he's already sowed into you, invested in you, brought you here, and he thought enough of you for you to be here. Then why does it matter what anybody else thinks? You know, why do you need to work hard to prove something? Why do you need to work hard? Like, no, like, you've already got it. Like, there's something already amazing about you. And I think a lot of people, when I see people working hard, I always ask the question, and I ask myself the question, is this for God or is this for other people? You know, is this what he wants for me and he wants for my life? Is this where I'm being guided, or am I listening to people outside? And I think that whole, like, I need to pray harder, I need to pray better, I would dig into that a little bit and say, why do you think your prayers aren't enough? Is God telling you your prayers aren't enough? Or did you see like this amazing person who you're like, oh man, I wish I could pray like that? But why? Right? Your very personal relationship with God. God wants to hear your voice. He's going to search your heart, not theirs, when it comes time for your relationship. So I think you can get an ease. You know, I think all of us, or at least for me, I always want to be better. And I always ask the question of, like, God, what do you want from me? And am I doing what you want me to be doing? And how can I take these wonderful gifts you've given me and do the things that you want me to do with them? Am I using my tools appropriately? And that's a conversation that I have all the time. He's so tired of talking to me, but that's a conversation I have all the time. So I think, like, the more personal you make it, the more you're really being still and getting into conversation and really listening for that, like, the rest of it will fall away. And there's an ease. It's like any relationship, right? Like, when you have a really good friend, or like you go on a really good date, it's easy, right? Like, it's just back and forth, right? And you can trust that person, and you can believe that what they tell you is what it is. You don't have to doubt, you don't have to question. How much more ease can you get than that? And I feel like when we're fighting, that's a lot of us getting involved, and it's not really in that relationship. So that would be my thought on that.
And I mean, that is so on point, because I feel like, you know, we talked about storytelling, like stories we tell ourselves about ourselves, but there are also stories that we tell about God and his character. And I'm always all for exploring that. And so there is a bit of a disconnect when we say we want a relationship. And, you know, one of the adjectives that you use that I love is ease. You know, there are scriptures that talk about just the ease and the flow and the connectedness that really serves at the core of a relationship. And yet we try to earn it, and we try to work hard, or we impose these restrictions on ourselves. We impose these rules, or like you said, we listen to other people and we try to develop a relationship that looks and appears like what we see others talking about. And so it's so funny how all of this stuff is wrapped up together.
It is. It's all like woven together because it's all about our humanity. At the end of the day, I think that's what, when we see things that are in disarray and we see things that don't feel good, or we don't have the ease in our career, or ease in our relationship with God, it's because we've forgotten our humanity. We've forgotten the basics of who we are and why we're here. We've gotten distracted from all these outside things, which is so easy to do. Like, I mean, I don't know anybody who hasn't, but I think it's just really important to build your life and to build in reminders and build in guideposts and things you can go back to that bring you back centered in your humanity, who you are, the fact that God loves you. You don't have to perform for that. You could never earn that. Like, there's nothing you could do to be deserving of it.
That part.
Right?
You're doing all that hard work.
Doing all that work for something you already have. Right?
Right.
So why not, like, so instead of trying to work for it, it's like showing appreciation for it and showing gratitude and saying, I am so thankful for your mercy and the fact that you allow me to be here. Let me do your will and live a life that you'll be proud that you bestowed this honor on me. And
right.
How positive is that? Like,
oh gosh, it's amazing.
Yeah, I'm so loved. I want to love other people. I mean, come on, y'all. Like, what other kind of life would you want to live? So we don't know how to get it right, but definitely can try.
Oh my goodness, I could talk to you all day.
Let's do it.
About everything. But as we close, I did want to share with the listeners, like, how can they get in contact with you? How can they, learn more about your services, or just, follow you so that they can get these nuggets of wisdom?
Yeah. Oh, all these nuggets. So I'm always open to chatting with people and having consultations, whether you think you want to work with me or you just want to learn more about coaching. And you can always sign up for those on my website, which is Smitn, so the letter I, the letter M, SMITN.com. You can find more information about me there, and sign up for a 20-minute consult so that we can chat and figure out if coaching is for you. You can also follow me on Instagram or Facebook at I am Smitn. Same deal. It's very easy. And so I'm trying to be better and more consistent about my nuggets. And then I also encourage you to sign up for my email list. You can tap the link in the bio on Instagram or on the website as well, because that's where I do kind of, once a week, share with the world what I'm thinking and try to build people up and provide some encouragement to get you through your week.
That is so awesome. Thank you so much for sharing with us. And yeah, thanks again for just walking us through the coaching process and, again, the stories we tell ourselves and just sharing your journey, because it really is an inspiration.
Thank you so much. This is so fun. I really could talk to you all day long. Maybe I'll have to work with you to write that book. I've been thinking about it.
Uh-oh.
Here it comes.
That's it for us, guys. That's it for us, guys, today. I'm sure you will hear Nicole again on this podcast, because I feel like we just got started with all the things we could talk about as it relates to storytelling and coaching. And so, again, thank you, listeners, for tuning in to Between the Lines.